Hello, how's it going, people? Welcome to the stream. Welcome. Sunday, the 8th of September. So we are basically halfway through the international break. Next week, of course, next weekend, more specifically. Also on Friday, if I'm not mistaken, Bundesliga and some other games. Basically, everything slowly kicks off. So we are almost there. But still, we need to live with some international break games. Hope everyone's had fantastic Sunday. Tomorrow is Monday, so it is what it is, I guess. But overall, I must say, it has been hella wild. Still hella wild. And there's some news on Calafiori. There's some not breaking news, but there are some talks about issues at Netherlands camp a bit, but not nothing I think too much. And of course, there are also some links with certain players leaving. And already, of course, we are talking about summer signings, which is kind of mad, but it is what it is, I guess. But today, of course, we're gonna talk about Calafiori. We're gonna talk about obviously the misunderstanding in a way that has happened in Netherlands camp, and we're gonna talk about squad because I wanted to talk about it yesterday and we touched it a bit on it, but overall we didn't look at it too much. So today we're gonna look at a bit more. So of course, if you're new around here, don't forget to smash that thumbs up. That helps a lot. Hit that like button, helps the algorithm, everything. It takes literally 1 second pretty much. If you're new around here, enjoy the content, want to come back for more, subscribe, hit that bell, all that good stuff. Of course, share the stream or video around. And if you want to talk to me, just interact in the chat, in the live chat, in the comments afterwards, or just tweet me. My Twitter is X me, basically. Twitter me, the same handle as my YouTube channel, of course. And I must say, it has been quite weird at the moment being an Arsenal fan, especially since we started the season, didn't look the greatest. We have 2 wins and a draw. The transfer window overall was underwhelming to say the least, let's just say that. But at the end of the day, one of the biggest things that was one of the biggest concerns, the fact that we sold so much and didn't replace them, and we haven't improved the squad, bench-wise at least, overall, throughout the years, is coming more and more to life, and it's raising more and more kind of distraught, a bit of a worry in the fan base. And we're gonna talk about that today as well. So to kick things off, of course, we're gonna talk about the guy who is injured. We're not gonna talk about Simba. We're gonna talk about Calafiori. It's the wrong place where I am, but basically, you're gonna talk about Calafiori, and basically, Fabrizio Romano reported this today, and he said that sources kind of says to him that insists that Calafiori's injury is nothing serious and it is just a knock, nothing worrying. Arsenal also didn't want Calafiori to take any risk, and he will be assessed next week. So basically, he has been pulled out of Italy national team, and at the moment he is flying back to England to take the medical tests, to take extra tests, precautionary measures at this time at least, for until next week when more and more things will become clear, let's be real. But the biggest thing about all of this is, for me, it's a bit of an issue for me, because okay, he gets injured during international break. It was in a way a freak accident because Dembele falls over after Bastoni's tackle. He clips him on the calf, I think it was, and he goes down in pain. The teammates show that he needs to get subbed off. He gets treated by medical staff. He goes off. Then he gets put back on the pitch. He says he can continue, but he was limping quite heavily. And obviously, sooner or later, he was subbed off. The big issue for me with this is what Italy's national team manager, Spalletti, said after the game. He said that Calafiori looks okay. It was just a precautionary matter, and the fact that he will be pretty much ready to play the next game Italy has during the international break. And now, 24 hours later, news come out that Calafiori has been pulled by basically sent back to Arsenal, basically has been pulled by the team. But it feels like Arteta and Arsenal have seen this, and obviously, and they have said, oh, we are pulling out to assess him a bit further next week. And the biggest thing about this overall is it's not as much as the Spalletti said that he will be okay, pretty much. It's the fact that, let's be real, Arsenal's medical staff, Italy national team's medical staff, both are in contact. There's no shadow of doubt that. Even if Italy's medical staff has made some scans, some tests and everything, they have been sent to Arsenal. Let's be real. They have been sent to Arsenal's medical staff. They have been talked over and everything. So the fact that Arsenal are a bit worried they had to pull him out is a bit concerning. Because over the years with Arsenal, we have heard these things that he has been pulled out of the team because it's precautionary. He's gonna be out for a few weeks. And in the end, that precaution tends to drag out into a few months. Those few weeks tend to drag out again into a few months. It happened with Tomiyasu, was with Gabriel Jesus, and at the end it ended even into a surgery and everything. So it is a bit of an issue. I'm not gonna lie. It is a bit of an issue. It's not about the fact that obviously we have the depth in defense at least, that even if Calafiori gets injured, we have players to play in certain positions. Just the fact that as good as safe Arsenal want to play this, there are a bit of inconsistencies in the stories that are coming out in general, and they kind of don't add up, and that is a bit of a worry. For me, that is a bit of a worry, at least in that case. Because, as I said, if I look at this, obviously Arsenal's medical staff are in contact with Italy national team's medical staff. And if they have sent their scans and stuff like that over, surely there is something in those scans and tests Arsenal medical staff have seen that they deem that it should be better that he would be sent back to Arsenal to get him reevaluated and being assessed pretty much. And that, for me, is a big worry at the moment. Now, what's gonna happen obviously remains to be seen. But the fact that Arsenal players get injured left, right and center obviously wasn't such a big issue, for example, last season. But overall, if you look at Arsenal over the last decade and even more, we get quite a bit of injuries. And obviously this was in international break, it's a bit different, but at the same time, no team wants to send their players out to international duty and him don't come back healthy. Let's be real. But the same thing has happened with multiple players. We have signed injured players, like Cedric, like Fabio Vieira, like Kim Kallstrom and stuff like that. And we have signed injury-prone players, let's be real, there's no argument about that. We have had our own injury-prone players like, for example, Jack Wilshere. The biggest thing is that Arsenal have signed players who are not injury-prone. Generally, who are not injury-prone during their medical histories, everything that's been published. They are healthy. They maybe have had a knock here or there. They maybe have had, let's just say, a calf or hamstring injury here or there, once or twice. But overall, they haven't been that much injured. The big issue is that many players that have come to Arsenal, who have very good medical history and who are very durable, it seems like, come to Arsenal and they get ridiculed with injuries. And that, for me, is a big, big worry. Because as much as Arsenal have very developed stadium, very developed training grounds and everything, somehow it happens quite a bit to Arsenal. Obviously it happens to every single team as well, but many times those players that get injured for other teams are due to matters and due to situations that have happened during games most of the time. But for Arsenal, many times, someone falls onto someone, something happens in a training and stuff like that. So that is a big, big worry for me. Because it's a reoccurring theme, and if it hasn't been assessed in over a decade, I'm not sure what is going on. Because either medical staff is not good enough, and they don't let the players heal properly, or there's something wrong with the training ground, it feels like. Because I know that there are reports that have come out over the years to the fact that Arsenal have very hard training ground. It's very hard turf to run, not turf, but grass basically to run on and train and everything. And that was kind of linked to the fact that that's why Arsenal are getting some of those injuries. But overall, it is a bit of a weird one. It is a bit of a weird one. Obviously, last year we got a bit lucky with injuries. Not a bit, quite a bit lucky, let's be real. Because none of our main guys pretty much got injured. Partey injured, that is nothing new to Arsenal. Jesus injured, also nothing new to Arsenal. Martinelli, also nothing new, he gets injured on occasion. Tomiyasu, Zinchenko and players like that, that is nothing special because they tend to be injured quite a bit. And by now, obviously, since Arsenal have signed them years ago pretty much, a couple of years, 2 years, 3 years, they should be accustomed to it. But the fact that, for example, new player comes in who hasn't been injured whatsoever over the years and all of a sudden he gets injured, it's not a great thing. And the fact that we sign injury-prone players with hopes that they don't get injured also is not a great thing. As much as I love Kieran Tierney, he had injury issues long before Arsenal, and yet Arsenal still signed him. Tomiyasu also wasn't the most durable. Same goes for Calafiori, he also wasn't the most durable. He has had multiple injuries before he signed for Arsenal. Obviously they got healed and everything, and one can hope that they don't kind of stop his progress, detriment his career and everything like that. But overall, over the years, it is a bit of a weird one, to say the least, for me. The fact that we get very, very many injuries, in a way, to same players. They kind of get injured, and it feels like they physically, at least their body cannot adapt to the fact that they were injured, and they get injured and again and again and again. Because we don't get injuries to new players, which is obviously a great thing. But at the time, most of the time, the players when we see injuries are players who already have been injured before, and that is one of the biggest concerns for me, at least. Because let's be real, Saka, there has to be some injuries there. He is playing on some sort of like regime or something, like he is under some restraints maybe on some level and everything, but he has played through injuries. There has to be something, because he cannot limp just randomly all the freaking time. He has admitted himself he had issues with his ankle and everything, but he kind of heals that, he goes on. But overall, like the big injuries, I'm not talking about ACLs, but massive hamstrings, muscle injuries who put you sidelined for 2, 3, 4, 5, even 6 weeks or even months. It doesn't happen to most of our guys. It's usually Partey who gets injured over and over and over again. It's usually Tomiyasu who gets injured over and over and over again. Same goes for Zinchenko, Kieran Tierney, as we talked about. And Gabriel Jesus, he has gotten same injury 3 times over. So why? That's the thing. The biggest question is why. Obviously, when you injure a place, it kind of heals itself. And there is a risk always that the injury reoccurring, and that is also a big thing. But also that should send some smoke signals to the fact that maybe you should kind of make him play a bit less, maybe at times, maybe give him a bit more rest on occasion. But it doesn't happen, especially if Saka gets injured. It's a big injury. We don't have a backup for him. And if he has that big injury, who knows what's going to happen when he comes back? Because those injuries can leave a long-term effect on them, and then it could be very big curtains for Arsenal. And as I said, last year we got very lucky with injuries because none of our main guys got injured. And we kind of got scarred free during the season, especially if you compare us to other teams. Generally, like Newcastle, who about 10, 15 players injured, Chelsea, United, Brighton even Spurs to some extent. They also had quite a bit of injuries, yet they played on and it was everything. Obviously, they have replacements, not the best, but they still do. Us four, on the other hand, we don't even have replacements for certain positions, and that is one of the biggest worries. Because over the years, every single Arsenal fan knows that Partey is gonna get injured at some point. Jesus over the last year hasn't kind of given us any confidence that he's not gonna get injured. He will play a full fit season, especially after the Brazil thing, that he has been injured 3 times on the same knee. Zinchenko, Tierney, Tomiyasu, it's always the same players, and Arsenal haven't addressed them. Because in these instances, on some level, none of them are actually, if you ask me, the kind of main role type of players. Obviously, when Partey is on his game, he's incredible. There's no argument about that. Yet at the same time, we dealt almost whole season last year without him. And I think it would have been much better if we sold him. If we sold these injury-prone players and did some more extensive maybe data search, as they like to portray, like they're doing the 180 pages of scouting and everything. It feels like at some levels when we do these scoutings, it doesn't include injury reports. It feels that way because we signed injury-prone players on the dot. We have signed them and it's not very good look for Arsenal. And it's not very good thing long-term because the more player gets injured and the less he plays, the more his value also decreases in the market, if we look from business standpoint of view. So we cannot sell, for example, the player on ROI, on return on the investment terms. So at best we can break even, or at worst we get about 10-15% off, and player who we bought for about 45 million, we sell for about 35 to 40. That is the big issue for me. And yeah, it is what it is. It's a bit of a worry, but I guess none of Arsenal fans are that much concerned, because from what I've seen on social media, we got an injury, okay, we have good enough team to kind of hold out until he comes back, and we don't need a backup for Saka, we don't need a striker, we don't need this, that, and the other. And yeah, it is what it is, but on certain level it's really pissing me off, because Arsenal is a team, a very big team, one of the biggest teams in England, one of the biggest teams in the world, and they should be operating on such a level that when they sign players, they know who they're signing, and on the same time, if they don't work out in the first 2 years, they should be looking to move them on and get someone better in. Yet we kind of do this family thing where everyone's part of the family, we love, cherish everyone, rub their tummy after they have ate and everything, and they stand here for extended period of time, which obviously, on some level, okay, cool, if you're a good player, okay, stay. But for example, what was the point for extending Mohamed Salah's, I was about to say, Mohamed El Neni's contract. Because we extended his contract so he can stay here, learn how to be a coach, and then be a coach at Arsenal. Well, under teams, right? That went well since he left Arsenal and he went to play somewhere else. Why we extended Cedric's contract when we had the chance just to bin him or even sell him on many levels, many times when many Turkish teams came in for him. Like, why wouldn't we do that? Why we didn't sell Nketiah when we had the chance? Reece Nelson when we had the chance? Even years before that. Like, we have done these things where we should remove the sentiment out of this equation, because at the end of the day, in a way, you would agree with me that the football club and players is also like a business. You buy a player, you buy your product. If it performs good, it's fantastic. You're satisfied and everything. And then other teams see that it's kind of like a recommendation. They come in for him, maybe sign for a bigger fee. If they're not good, if the things you buy are not good enough, what you do basically, you either sell them on, and usually for a cut price deal, or you just bin them. And that's what's very, very interesting about Arsenal in that instance, because they don't move on. They kind of have. They buy players and they keep them. And in the end, they go for free, we rip up their contracts and pay them to leave, or we just, at best, we sell them for about, I would say, 50% of the value that we paid for him. And that for me is a big, big issue as well. On top of everything, not just injuries, but on top of everything. So it is what it is, I guess. It's Arsenal. They just don't run the club as probably everyone would imagine, but yeah. It is what it is. But Calafiori is returning to Arsenal, gonna be assessed next week. So let's hope everything comes out good, because at the end of the day, he's a big player in a way, very big talent. Spalletti said it's nothing big. He's gonna play pretty much for Italy next game they have in the Nations League. Yet at the same time, bang, he gets recalled 24 hours later. And that is the big thing for me. Because Spalletti says one thing, then something else happens. And if you look in a way, the bottom line to all of this, as I said before, obviously Arsenal medical staff are in contact with Italy national team's medical staff. And if he has been pulled out of the team, even if it's as a precaution, surely that means that Arsenal's medical staff, in the test scans that most likely Italy team made for Calafiori, they have sent them to Arsenal's medical staff, and they have seen something they don't like. Because if it was nothing, he would have stayed with Italy and been on the bench at worst. Let's be real. But no, he's being recalled, so he's gonna get assessed next week. And we know Arsenal, when it says it's few weeks, many times it's few months. So let's see what's gonna happen with that. But in a way, it's very, very worrying. I'm not gonna lie. Let me know what you think about this in the chat as well, by the way. Let me know what you think. Now, we move on to Jurrien Timber. Jurrien Timber, according to reports today, Arsenal star Jurrien Timber is involved in furious training ground clash with ex-Manchester United forward. Basically, international duty, and here we are talking about Wout Weghorst. Because there was an incident in the training ground where they were kind of obviously playing, training and doing everything, and Weghorst felt that Timber was playing too rough. In a way, he was playing too rough. Where was it? The Dutch outlet ADNL has reported Ajax striker left the session furious after a clash with Timber. The outlet claims that the former Manchester United loanee felt Timber had fouled him in an aggressive manner. So basically, Timber was giving 110%, similarly like Gabriel when he basically broke Merino's arm in a way, and it stirred up a bit of I wouldn't say brawl, but a big, like a butting of heads between Weghorst and Timber. And it's also being reported Coleman is then thought to have shouted, and now it's all done. Technically, it is all good. After Weghorst continued to complain, an image has surfaced online of Weghorst taking his training t-shirt off while walking away. It has yet to become apparent how serious the bust-up was, but Coleman is expected to be quizzed on the matter when he faces the national press on Monday ahead of UEFA Nations League fixture against Germany. So, yeah, something is also going on there. Even during international break, Arsenal players are involved in a bit of a drama in something not of the best sorts, but it is what it is, I guess, at the end of the day. But the fact that even Coleman had to interrupt them and kind of get involved in this, obviously he's the manager, he has to do it in a way as well to make everything calm and steady. But at the same time that he had to shout, calm everyone down, Weghorst looked hella pissed. Either it's just a situation or there will be again something to it. All remains to be seen. But the fact that Simba instantly goes into training and just smashes him in a way, if that makes any sense, to be honest, is also a very, very interesting one. I'm not sure what's gonna come out of this, but the fact that there has been a bit of a furious training ground clash is a bit of a worry. I'm not gonna lie. That also can unsell many things. On top of that, there are reports, obviously, still with transfer window, because not every single transfer window has closed. Obviously, for Premier League, the transfer window closed in 30th of August during the night. For Saudis, it was on Monday last week. But for Turkey, it closes, I think, in a week, if I'm not mistaken. Like, where is it? It closes in a week. I generally believe it closes in a week, so it will be very interesting what's gonna come out of that. But Galatasaray apparently are lining up a move for Arsenal star Jorginho following their failed push to sign Casemiro and even McTominay. The Turkish window is still open until Friday, so it closes on the 13th of September. So they still have 5 days in this, so there might be something to it. Obviously, I don't think he will get sold in any means, because obviously Arteta loves Jorginho and everything. And if Arsenal sells Jorginho, it would leave our midfield even thinner than it already is, and we would have nobody pretty much to play in the midfield until Merino comes back. Arsenal can afford to take that gamble whatsoever. So I don't think it's gonna come to light, but apparently Galatasaray are targeting Jorginho as a Casemiro alternative. The big thing about all of this is, though, his contract runs out in a year. By the next summer, he's out of contract because we extended for 1 more year. The big question is, will we let him go for free, or are we gonna extend the contract more? Because at the end of the day, we signed him for 10 million, we pay his wages. So again, if he goes for free, pretty much money wasted again. So we're not gonna sell him, not get any money back. Again, not a great deal of business, especially that I don't think Jorginho is hella old. I think, how old is Jorginho? I think he's like 32. I can't spell, sorry. Jorginho is 32, right? Yeah, he's 32. In December, he's gonna be 33. So he's still not the oldest player in the world, to be honest. I generally believe that it actually could work properly, quite properly in that sense. So all remains to be seen. But yeah, for me personally, I don't think it's gonna materialize into anything. It's just a rumor that has been put out there just because the transfer window is still open. By the way, it also was reported by The Sun, the most trustworthy thing in the world. So take that with some grain of salt as well. Now, but there are still more transfer news, and there are some reports. Rob Holding, here we go. There are talks already. Our transfer window closed a week ago, yet there are still already talks about next summer. We have already been linked with about 4 or 5 players for next summer. Imagine that. Transfer window just closed. We have already been linked with players for after 9 months. How? This is just insane. And one of them is apparently Ebrechieze, which, to be honest, would be a fantastic signing for Arsenal in my books. Ex-Arsenal player from Arsenal Academy and everything. That would be fantastic. He has said that he wants to play for Arsenal himself. Although saying that, Tony said the same thing and Arteta just beat him into the ground, so it is what it is, I guess. But yeah, Arsenal's London rivals apparently would be willing to accept 60 million in 320 million installments rather than one lump sum as they wanted this summer. And pretty much that was the reason why Eze didn't get sold this summer. Because Crystal Palace wanted all of the money pretty much instantly. And that was the reason why he has stayed at Palace. Nobody was gonna pay the 60 million. But if they are willing to take 320 million installments, I can guarantee you that every top 6 side at in the Premier League, I would include also on top of that Aston Villa and teams like that, will be in for him. Because if it's a 3 installments of 20 million, that pretty much is nothing. Even if you have to pay like every quarter 20 million. That is nothing, because that actually helps the books in general. So that will be interesting to see. Now, will we get him? I have no idea. Would it be a fantastic signing for Arsenal? Yes, it would be. He can play right wing, and he can also be covered for Martin Odegaard. In that instance, I would take him at Arsenal 1,000,000%. Shame it didn't happen this summer, but again, as it was reported, they wanted all the money pretty much up front this window, and I think they played hardball mostly also because there were obviously they lost Olise, they lost Anderson, and there were also talks that they might lose Margehi. But they didn't lose Gehi, so they wanted to keep some of their stars to at least give them chance to stay in Premier League in a way as well. Because I don't think that without Olise and Anderson, there is that much guarantees of them staying in Premier League. Yes, they have made some signings and everything. You could say they have spent quite decently the money they have gotten for Olise and Anderson. But overall, at the end of the day, Crystal Palace is a whole different team without Olise, because the goals and everything Olise provided, even though he had injuries and everything, was very important factor why they beat Manchester United, why they got points on the board. Where they will be ready and could do that again this season remains to be seen, of course. But for next summer, I think Crystal Palace could be one of those teams that if they stay up, they won't stay up the season after this one. Because I think next summer they will get picked apart no matter what. Because Eze has already been linked with Arsenal and two more teams, and Gehi now is not on the list only for Newcastle, as it was a big part of this summer transfer window that just passed and closed, but also for Liverpool. So definitely I think on some level that they actually might go. They might get picked apart. Speaking of Nuno Tavares as well, Nuno Tavares was injured in the first 20 minutes when he just got loaned there. He's loaned to Lazio with obligation to buy. Lokonga is only option to buy, he is with obligation to buy. And yeah, he has played one game in Serie A. It was against AC Milan. It was a 2-2 draw, and Nuno Tavares assisted in both goals. So that is kind of interesting in that regard. But what Lazio president speaking on Tavares, did you see how good he is? Nuno is an excellent player. Now you'll see how good is Giot. Another great move. They signed the center back as well from, I don't remember, Marseille, I think it was. I don't remember now on top of my head. I think it was Marseille. But the big one is, he didn't work out at Arsenal. He didn't work out at Newcastle. Not Newcastle, sorry. He didn't work out at Nottingham Forest. He also didn't work out at Marseille. In all of those teams, even including Arsenal, the first 5-10 games, he was decent, let's just say that. Especially for Marseille, he scored goals, assisted and everything. But after that, he pretty much fell off massively. Let's just hope he doesn't fall off for Lazio so we can sell him and get off him our books. But overall, it looks like Lazio president Lotito is kind of very impressed with what he has seen so far from Tavares. And it looks like the move overall, if he keeps this up at the end of the season, could actually properly materialize. So I'm wishing him best of luck with that. And hopefully it comes to fruition. Anything else? Anything else? Anything else? Anything else? Yeah, Calafiori is returning. Rain as well as training go by, so in general that's good. Timba, so nothing special on that as well. Anything from AFC stuff? We're gonna look at these, then we're gonna go into squad and everything. Next week, obviously, Spurs versus Arsenal. Have mercy on my soul. According still to Team News and 6, Isak will be very high on Arsenal's list also next season. Will he sign? No idea. Do I want him to stay at Arsenal? Let's wait and see how this season goes. Because more and more I look at this, I'm kind of starting to have a bit of a doubt on this. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna watch some more Newcastle games and then I'm gonna express my opinion. Would he be the best striker for Arsenal to sign? But for now, let's move on from that. Osimhen, we didn't sign basically apparently this summer that he had attitude concerns. Arteta had attitude concerns. And he had very high wage demands, which actually you kind of can understand. Yet he has moved to Galatasaray for pretty much nothing, it feels like. Also, Arsenal allegedly this window inquired about Gordon, but Newcastle didn't want to lose the player, which makes a lot of sense. Now, nothing new. Also, Calafiori, apparently it's nothing serious, but we will wait and see. Anything else happening here? Anything else? Calafiori, anything? Fabrizio Romano says Arsenal will assess Calafiori next week, of course. I assume Monday or Tuesday we will get the results of the assessments as well. Otherwise, nothing special other including Arsenal. But today, the big thing. We're gonna talk about Arsenal and Arsenal squad depth in this instance, because obviously we signed 4 players. We signed Calafiori, we signed Merino, we signed Norberto Neto, and we signed obviously Sterling on loan. And 2 of those players are injured at the moment. We don't know what's going on with Calafiori, but we have to assume in a way that both of them are injured. Obviously Merino is injured, we 100% know that. The thing about Calafiori though is the fact that even if he is injured, if it's not very long period of time, in a way it doesn't matter for Arsenal in such a sense that it's quite detrimental to them, because obviously for us, for defensive wise, we are very solid and very strong already, because last year we had the best defense in the league, and now Timber is back and we added Calafiori on top of that, which in a sense isn't that bad. And if you look at this, to be honest, we actually out and out, according to Transfermarkt, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 center backs. 5 center backs, 2 left backs, and 2 right backs. That is according to Transfermarkt, right? But in reality, the picture is completely different for Arsenal, in a way, because Timber has played right back, left back. Obviously in preseason he played center back, but he has played left back. Calafiori, I think, genuinely is seen as a left back, or in some weird freaking bizarro scenario that Arteta sells Gabriel Magalhaes, right? He goes in that left center back role. That is the other way I can see it. But overall, all of these players, right? All of these players, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, are left backs for Arsenal, because we have utilized all of them at left back more than in their natural positions. Because Calafiori is a left-sided center back. On Bologna he was a 3 at the back mostly. Yes, he played left back there as well, but mostly he's a left-sided center back. Timber is a right back more, right-centered center back. Kivior is a center back, but he plays left back for Arsenal. Zinchenko is a midfielder, but he plays left back. And obviously Ben White is a right center back, but he plays right back technically. But Tomiyasu can play all across the back line. So in a way, we have about 6 or 7 left backs in the team. Overall, the way Arsenal have played them and used them in the games, we have 2 center backs, 1 right back, and about 7 left backs. It feels that way, doesn't it, in a way? Because if Tomiyasu isn't injured, yes, he has played at right back as well. But overall, yeah, we have... Basically, what I'm trying to say with all this waffle I'm going on about this at the moment is the fact that defensively, we are sound, we are done, and we are good. That is the case what I am talking about here. Defensively, we shouldn't be worried. Only issue that I can see at Arsenal defensively, if we get injured, is both center backs. And the biggest, and you ask me why. 100% you ask me why, because you think, oh yeah, what if they we can easily put Timber there, Calafiori there, Kivio, and all them, man. Yes, we can. And we will, let's be real, if Saliba or Gabriel get injured. The issue with this is, being a wing back and being a center back in a way, even though you play defensive role, 2 completely different positions. Like, in matter of things and in matter of obligations you have to do and fulfill on the pitch. And we haven't used pretty much none of them at center back. We use them just at wing backs. Because, let's be real, if Saliba and Gabriel are not injured, we saw that last year, they played every single game pretty much bell to bell at center back. Yes, there were some instances which we put someone else in there, but overall, they are our 2 main center backs. And nothing is gonna move them out of there, based on what we have seen from Mikel Arteta, unless they get injured. Or they get a red card. One of those 2 instances. Those are the only 2 conditions that pretty much would suggest the fact that they would get substituted. Unless they get injured or they have a red card. Besides that, we have 2 center backs, and the rest of them we pretty much play as wing backs. And that strikes me very, very weird. Very weird. Especially that Timber was more of a right back than a left back, but we use him as a left back. That also strikes me very, very weird. So I don't know what's going on in that instance. Big up Pepper in the chat, big up Adjeri in the chat, big up, big up, big up, big up. But yeah, in a way, if we look at this, we have 2 center backs, 2 right backs, and about 6 left backs. That's how I see Arsenal at the moment. Because Timber plays pretty much left back, has played at least for this season, and when even last season before he got injured, he was playing left back. Calafiori has played left back. Obviously, we went down to 10 men, we played 5 at the back, so he went left side center back, which is his more natural position in that sense, but he also played left wing back there. But overall, yeah, we have only left backs pretty much in the team, which is very weird. And for me, that is not a big issue, because the most of them can play also as a center back or right back. The issue is the fact that they have no practice and experience in recent years while being at Arsenal. I'm talking excluding pretty much Calafiori here, playing at center back. And if one of our center backs go down, it is a bit of an issue, because they get mostly played as wing backs, and it's a whole two completely different positions for me. And that is my biggest worry in that instance if something happens. But overall, I think defensively, we are solid as a rock. Unless something freaky happens and about 4 defenders get injured, like last season, about 6 defenders at the same time for Chelsea got injured, or Liverpool or Newcastle, and their main guys even got injured, you know. So we are solid in that position. But if we move to midfield, genuinely, it's a whole different story. It's a whole different story, which, if you look at it, really strikes fear into Arsenal fans. Not opponents, but in Arsenal fans per se. Because if they get injured, Arsenal are screwed. That is the big case at the moment. Odegaard injury concerns me. That's the big thing. Odegaard says he's fine and everything. What's gonna happen with that? Who knows? Because he already has had a knock. Who knows? One big tackle in that Spurs game by that idiot Romero or someone, and he could be out. It doesn't take much when you have a small knock. You kind of are healing it, but you can play through it basically on a quite decent level. One wrong tackle and you're instantly out for a very extended period of time. That is a big issue for me as well. We have no natural backup for Odegaard apart from Weghorst, and that is one of the biggest cases. That is one of the biggest cases for midfield in general. And to be honest, if you look at our midfield, we don't actually have no proper backups for multiple positions, in a way. Because Odegaard doesn't have backup. Yes, you can play Weghorst there or whatever, right? And that it hasn't even been a proven backup. But if you think about it, we don't have a backup for Partey still. Rice can play there. And to be honest, in a way, I think the way Arteta sees this is that Rice plays at number 6, Merino plays at number 8. And I think he will try and use that as soon as Merino comes back from injury. But overall, we don't have a backup. Because, to be honest, yeah, for this season, we are good. For this season, even if we get injured, in a way, you could say we are covered. Because Rice and Partey both can play 6. Rice can also play 8. Merino can play 8. And Rice can play 8 decently. Let's just say that. Jorginho also, 6 or 8, depends how you look at things. Odegaard is at number 10. And it is what it is. We don't have a backup for him. However, you have to remember and look at these two things. Jorginho's and Partey's contracts. They run out next summer, June 30th. Which means, unless we decide to extend, let's just say, Jorginho's contract for 1 more year, I don't see Arsenal extending Partey's contract. He's already on 230 grand a week or something like that. I don't see them extending that. But even if they do, they will try to sell him instantly. That's the only way I can see it. But overall, if you think about it, if they both leave instantly, let's just say next summer, right? Instantly we lose 2 midfielders. 2 midfielders instantly are lost. Which means we will have to spend another 100 million alone just to buy 2 more midfielders. And to be honest, for Arsenal's depth, the way we are at the moment, we need to spend about extra 30 million to buy 1 more to have extra backup. Which means you'll have to spend 100 to 150 million to sign 3 midfielders alone, if we let Thomas Partey and Jorginho go. So next summer again could be a summer where we don't sign a striker. Like, looking at it. Because it's all fun and games when transfer window closes, all these ITKs and all these PR journalists and everything are saying, oh, but Arsenal wanted to get Isak, oh, Arsenal wanted to get Osimhen. Arsenal have very high on their list for next summer. Osimhen, Isak, and all them, man. It's all yada yada yada. But if you look at realistically at Arsenal at the moment, next summer, midfield-wise, we are screwed. Pretty much we are screwed unless during the season somehow we don't give Jorginho extra contract. We don't give Thomas Partey an extra contract. Will he take the pay cut from 230 grand? I don't think so. So what they gonna do then? Because he then was gonna go on free, and which means we have to re-sign more midfielders. That is a big issue. And that is now me talking at the moment for 9 months in the future. If we look unless we do something in January, by the way. But overall, and now if we look, in a way, Merino is out, right? So we have Odegaard, we have Jorginho, Partey, and Rice. Rice obviously is out for Spurs games, he has a red and everything, but we just gonna look at it in a way that we have all the midfielders. So we have Rice and Partey, Jorginho, and Odegaard. We have 3 number 6/8s, 3 of them, and that's it. That is it. We have technically 2 6s in Rice and Partey, also Jorginho in a way, and we have 1 8 in Declan Rice. And we have Merino, but he's injured at the moment. Once he comes back, we have 2 8s, 3 6s, which in general seems pretty decent, but if Partey goes injured, it's instantly dusted pretty much. Because we don't have rotation, and we have to play about 2-3 games every week now. Every week with Champions League, with Carabao, FA Cups, Premier League of course, and then on top of that again international break. Because international break ends on Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday. This Wednesday or this Thursday, right? Next week. We have 25 days and we have another international break. And in those 25 days, we have 7 games. Champions League games, Carabao Cup games, and Premier League games. Which means we play pretty much every third day. Every damn third day. And with this midfield we have at the moment, it's not looking great already. They will all be drained. Unless Arsenal do something like Spain tends to do at times, Brazil tends to do at times, and everything the clubs for their national teams say. Maybe this time don't call them up. Let them rest, because we have big season ahead of us. We know he's gonna be a starter for you and he's gonna be one of your guys anyways. Let them rest. For example, yes, I know it's qualifiers for World Cup, for Copa America, for AFCON, for Asia Cup, for National League. Let's be real, in Europe I would think National League almost nobody cares. Because it's nothing. It's basically international friendlies which you have to play just to fill in the void between Euros and World Cup. That's how I see it. Because us as football fans, at least me, I'm not going to talk about everyone, I'm going to talk about myself. I could easily do without international games in these friendlies in the Nations League. Easily. And I would just suggest, bin them all, these National League games, and then give, for example, then adjust the schedule, since it's 2-week periods and it's about 4 of them during the season, which gives you 8 weeks. Which you could now give the more separation for the games. Because the best players already can guarantee you this season, the main guys, will play about 70 to 80 games this season. Especially, for example, for Arsenal. If you get, for example, to all the finals and everything, one of your main guys gets to play pretty much every single game. For Arsenal, most likely like Saka, Saliba, and players like that. For other teams, let's just say Haaland or someone like that. Real Madrid will have those players. All the big teams will have those players. They're going to play up to almost 80 games throughout the season. That is just nuts. You basically are destroying people's health in a way. I have a feeling Spurs will want our blood on Sunday. They have held 2 L's in a row in their house. They can't afford. Exactly, that's also a big thing. That will definitely sit at the back of their minds. They haven't gotten one over us in 2 years. We have beat them at their ground for 2 years straight. And obviously North London derby for Arsenal and Spurs is a very big thing. And obviously, as much as it was a derby in a way, also it was in a way very predictable, if that makes sense. Because usually the team that was playing at home won. If you recall, Spurs come to Emirates, we win. We go to Shite Hart Lane or whatever it's called, they win. On occasion you get an odd draw here or there, but in Premier League in general, home team won. Now in the last 2 years, Arsenal kinda have changed the tides in this instance. Arsenal have gone to their stadium and we have beaten them. And I think they will want their pride, and I don't mean that kind of pride, but pride back. So that will be very interesting to see how it's gonna go. But you can bet your ass on it that players like Romero, even Bissouma, I would assume that midfielder, one of the midfielders, will genuinely go into players into bone. Straight up, no nonsense, they will just go bam, straight slam into you. Instantly, with no questions asked, they will go straight into you. Yeah, might be Papsar. Wait. Let's look at this. Wait. Tottenham squad. Imagine Arsenal channel looking at Spurs squad. Holy crap. No, I don't hate them. I don't hate them whatsoever. I don't hate Saka. I don't hate Odegaard. I'm not speaking about anyone else besides myself, and I don't hate them. Could they do better? Yes, they could. Pretty much I should have gone into private mode so they cannot track my IP as well, to be honest. No, I should have gone so it's not in my history, then I should have used like VPN so they cannot track my IP when I do this. But okay, 100%, for example, Romero will try to ruin us. I think Dragushin will be very nuts to play against. And then for midfield, I think it will be Bissouma and Bentancur. I think they both will go like madman against us. Like madman. Not worried about Werner. He cannot do anything, to be honest. Now watch, he's gonna score against us, but Solanke is injured. That is good. Richarlison is injured. That is good for us. So the attack is gonna be Son, Kulusevski and John. No, it's gonna be Werner on the left wing, Son through the middle, and Kulusevski most likely on the right. With midfield is gonna be Bissouma, Maddison, and I would say Bentancur, in my opinion. And defense, obviously, most likely it's gonna be Udogi, Dragushin, Romero, and Pedro Porro. That would be the thing I think Ange Postecoglou is gonna put out. But the big thing about this is, even if he puts it out, he's gonna play very high line, and that for me will be very interesting to see what Arsenal do with that. Might do Odegaard on the right wing. That's our left side, right? So he would be playing against Yuri and Timber most likely. Let's just go with the assumption that Calafiori is not gonna start after the knock. He still hasn't been cleared, and we don't know the degree of the injury or of the knock. Let's just be real. So that would mean that Timber starts. I think Kulusevski on that right side would make more sense in a way that he is more physical. Let's just say that. He is more physical than Odegaard, in my opinion. So he could kind of maybe try and tussle around with Timber. That would be my guess. Timber is a bit quicker and everything, but overall, yeah, Kulusevski is also taller than Timber, so they might actually try some far corner back post crosses, which, to be honest, against Brighton worked like a charm. Timber got outdone by Minte about 2-3 times on that far post while he was ball watching and trying to get the ball when he just got outjumped by Minte. But overall, yeah, it's very bleak, our midfield. And to be honest, it's very weird that we have spent about 250-300 million on our midfield alone from all the 700 million spent, and our midfield at the moment is looking like this. Genuinely, it's actually kind of wild. Like, yes, we can increase the value of Odegaard. Of Odegaard, and well, Declan Rice, this is what it is. But overall, it's actually kind of wild. 300 million spent almost on our midfield, and it's looking like what? Legitimately what? At the moment, because according to Transfermarkt, if you put our midfield's value all together, right, all the five midfielders we have at the moment. It's legitimately 230, 280, legitimately 310 million. It's like we just bought them now in a way. But overall, I'm just saying, 300 million spent on the midfield, and our midfield looks very, very short. Very short. And you would think that for 300 million on the midfield, you would have a proper backup for Odegaard, proper number 6, a backup even. Let's just say it's Rice, for example. Okay, let's go to number 8. We would have a proper number 8. But somehow we are very short in this. We sold obviously Emil Smith-Rowe. We let what's its face Vieira go on loan. Obviously none of them for Mikel Arteta were good enough to even be a backup for Odegaard, mind you. But it would be nice to have some more senior type experienced players to be a backup for your captain even, not just some Ethan Vanieri. I know I'm saying just some Ethan Vanieri and it sounds very weird, but at the moment he has done nothing in Premier League. 14, 15 minutes played overall in his career, and that's about it. He hasn't proven himself whatsoever. People are saying, oh, but he could be the next Lamine Yamal. If he would be the next Lamine Yamal, he would be playing instead of Odegaard. Let's be real. He would be playing instead of Odegaard in that 10 role. Because that right wing position for Barcelona pretty much is reserved for Lamine Yamal on very high level. Because they have about 3-4 players who can play on that right wing side besides Yamal. And none of them are starting there. Only Yamal starts. So it is what it is, but our midfield looks very, very bleak. And if you think about it, in the last 2 summer transfer windows, we have spent 100 million to replace that number 8 role. 100 million to replace left number 8. We signed Havertz for 65. He didn't work there. He was awful. Then all of a sudden you have to make something of him, and Arteta throws him in the number 9 spot. So that's 65 million down the drain, as the song says. Now this summer we have to go back in market and try to replace that role. Hey ho, we signed Mikel Merino. So we have spent 100 million on that role. And now imagine this. We have spent in 2 years 100 million to replace left number 8. Wouldn't that would have made more sense just to sign a proper number 8? Like, even Bruno Guimaraes, he's more of a 6, but you get what I mean in that instance. Bruno Guimaraes, Nicolo Barella, who else is there? There are billions of those even. Who else is there in the midfield? I'm just running through my head in the teams. 100 million, what you could get for 100 million for the left number 8 role. Holy crap. Madison even last year, 45 million. No, so 45 million could have gone. Should have paid Xhaka what he wanted. People will say Xhaka didn't leave because of money, but everyone has their price. To be honest, Xhaka has that price, but I think, to be honest, Granit Xhaka is nominated for Ballon d'Or for fuck's sake. That went well for him. He went away in the first season, goes invincible, wins the double, gets to the final of Europa League and everything. That's actually kind of wild if you come to think of it, and he's now nominated for Ballon d'Or. One of the 30 nominees. How mad is that? And has scored a banging goal in the beginning of the season as well. On top of all that, to be honest. But yeah, the 100 million, we could have signed quite a bit of midfielders. Even if you take like some things out of equation, we could have signed Pedro Gonçalves, although he's more of a winger, but it is what it is, in that left number 8 role. We could have signed even João Neves, to be honest, although last year he wasn't as good. Let's just say this season could have signed João Neves for 100 mil, even less. We should have paid him. We would have paid less, but you get what I mean in that instance, of course. We could have tried signing Ederson from Atalanta. Looks like a great player. There were quite a few players we could have signed, to be honest. 100 million to just replace one position in 2 years. And we don't even know if Mikel Merino is gonna work. It better work, because next summer if we have to replace also that will be kind of nuts, to be honest. But overall, yeah, we don't have backups. And to be honest, if we go to our attack, it doesn't look that much better, by the way. The big thing is, Kai Havertz is listed as center forward. I swear a few days ago, I was on Arsenal's website and I saw him being listed as a midfielder. Goalkeepers, Defenders. Yeah. Kai Havertz is listed as a midfielder on Arsenal's page. Oh, you cannot see. This is kind of zoomed. Okay, you should be seeing now. Midfielders. Kai Havertz is listed as a midfielder on Arsenal's page. Kind of weird since he hasn't played there for now what, more than 6 months, 7 months, 9 months even. That's kind of wild if you come to think of it. That's actually kind of nuts. But overall, yeah. Let's look at this way. Our attack, right? Kai Havertz up top, our main top goal scorer. Lord have mercy on our souls. Gabriel Jesus as a backup. One guy who is very injury prone in the last few years, who's said himself that he cannot finish, and a guy who is 6'4" but doesn't know how to head the ball properly. Who won't bag you legitimately 20 plus goals. Bukayo Saka, cool, no backup. Left wing, Martinelli, Trossard and Raheem Sterling. Left wing spot where Martinelli has been tried to replace already on 3 occasions by Mikel Arteta. One of the biggest pet peeves I have in this, for Arsenal, to sign a proper attacker, we would be needing to get rid of one attacker. And now the big question is, who is Mikel Arteta willing to let go in this instance? Because on some level, there might be some players Arteta likes more than the others, let's just say that, and he would be a bit forced to let someone go more than the others. And I don't think he's gonna get rid of Kai Havertz. He's not gonna get rid of Bukayo Saka, let's be real. Jesus, I think, could be under the question mark for next summer if he doesn't get fit. If he gets injured again, he misses big chunk of the season, he might be on the chopping block. The big thing for me at Arsenal is the left wing spot. Because that left wing spot is a bit of a mystery for me at Arsenal at the moment. And mostly because, obviously, we have Martinelli there, we have Trossard there. You would ask, why would it be a mystery? Obviously, Sterling is there, but he can be a backup for Saka as well and all that stuff. But we are excluding Sterling from the equation because he's alone, and I beg and I hope Arsenal don't sign him next summer. So here is the case. Martinelli has been Arteta has tried to replace Martinelli for three or 4 times already. Well, he's been here. Yes, 2 seasons ago, he had season of his life. Last 2 seasons, he has been very questionable, massive shadow of himself, and in a way felt like could hit the barn door. Because his performances were nowhere up to par. It feels like he has lost a bit of pace. He cannot finish chances on consistent basis like he finished 2 seasons ago. He missed point-per-point copy-paste chances last season. He scored with his eyes closed 2 seasons ago, which is already a bit of a worry. And the biggest thing is, no matter how he performed, he mostly starts for Arsenal. Which really is, I think, pissing off Leandro Trossard. He might say, yes, I'm cool with that and nothing is coming out of it, but I think there might be something sitting in him. The fact that he doesn't start, he scores goals. He scored quite a bit of goals while starting last year, by the way. Scored more starting than off the bench last year. And he has dragged Arsenal over the line on multiple occasions when scoring a tying goal, a winning goal. And that is the big thing. He also has a kind of weird that he hasn't celebrated his goals recently. He was felt like kind of forced by Saliba and Gabriel when Trossard has scored to make him do his signature celebration, you know, this one, right? And he has had troubles with the previous managers, especially we remember what happened with the Zerbi. Only reason why we signed, to be honest, Leandro Trossard. Because he fell out with the Zerbi and he kind of was exiled from the team and pushed out from the team. Also, that raises the question, what would happen like 2 years ago in the January transfer window if Leandro Trossard was all fine with the Zerbi and we didn't get Mudryk? Who we would have signed? That is a very big question which I actually don't have an answer for. Because at the time, Mudryk was the only player we had been linked with on that left side. And on top of that, after that fell through, Trossard pretty much was an opportunistic signing since he fell out with the manager. If that didn't happen, who would be our left back? But left wing. But again, I go back to my point to the fact that for Arsenal, I somehow get a feeling for a chance to sign a proper attacker, we might need to sell one of them. And I think for Arteta, the way he sees things at the moment, based on what has happened before, two players that could be on the chopping block is Gabriel Jesus, due to injuries and inconsistencies of him being available, and the other one, as weird it may sound, it's actually Martinelli. Arsenal might get rid of high-profile player in a way for Martinelli for getting good money to actually sign a proper striker, proper attacker. I think that also could be the case. That could be the case. Yes, I know I'm speculating quite heavily here, but at the same time, there is no coincidence that Martinelli has been tried to be replaced about 3-4 times already under Mikel Arteta. Because trying to sign Mudryk for 100 M's, I don't think you get benched if you get signed for 100 million. Nico Williams, you think Williams is starting off the bench? Get real. Same goes for Trossard. Trossard, in a way, has worked out better at Arsenal than anyone anticipated. Everyone said, oh, he's a baller, scored a hat-trick against Liverpool and all that stuff. But let's be real, none of the Arsenal fans actually thought, including myself in my opinion, this is again my opinion, the fact that he would knock on such performances as he has. Yes, Trossard might be better off the bench because he bangs goals. At the same time, if you are an elite player with an elite mentality, your desire is to start and challenge for the starting role. And at the moment, the big issue for me is Mikel Arteta prefers to start Martinelli over Trossard. Yes, he started the last game, bear with me here, but overall last season it was mostly Martinelli despite his performances. So I don't know what is going on that left side. Because for me at the moment, at left wing, Sterling should start, which is very controversial for many people to kind of agree with. But for me, Sterling should start, as mad as it sounds. And then you could put a right wing backup for Saka in Martinelli or Leandro Trossard. So ultimately, still I believe that squad is way too thin. We don't have a proper striker. How comes, to be honest, under Mikel Arteta we haven't signed a proper striker? We have signed forwards like Jesus, Trossard and Marquinhos. I don't count Havertz into that equation because he came in as a midfielder. It's Arteta's words himself. So the big question is, how comes we haven't signed a striker since actually we signed Aubameyang under Arsene? What, it was under Wenger? I think it was. Yeah, it was under Arsene Wenger. We haven't signed Aubameyang a striker since then. We binned Aubameyang 4 years ago and we haven't signed a replacement since. Which is very, very weird. We haven't signed like a big guy, proper bagsman and everything, who just, with a killer instinct, like for example Haaland, Dovbyk, Morata, Giroud, you name a team, pretty much every single team has an out-and-out bagsman up top. Whether he bags for them or not, it's a different thing, but they have out-and-out striker. Even Newcastle's, well obviously, but Nottingham Forest, Brighton's, everyone has a proper bagsman up top. Only team that doesn't have a proper striker is Arsenal, as weird as it sounds. At least that's the way I see it. So it is what it is, and I think our squad is very thin. We, Arsenal fan, for example me, I'm very worried about injuries. And I think many Arsenal fans are as well. And the big issue with this is that we are legitimately 1 or 2 injuries away to our main guys from a massive meltdown. Massive meltdown. Because what happens if Odegaard gets injured? Or what if Saliba or Gabriel get injured at the same time? Or let's just say freak accident Raya gets injured. Do you trust Neto to carry us over the line if let's just say Raya is out for 4 months? Let's just say he breaks his arm. Okay, 2 months he's out, or 2.5 months. Is Neto gonna carry us over the line? Who's gonna be Odegaard's replacement for a month or 2 while he's out? Who's gonna be Saka's replacement for 2 months? And the thing is, it's very, very, that's the biggest issue with the thin squad. We already last year had a team with players who played the most games out of pretty much every single team in Premier League. The biggest. Because Saliba played every single game from bell to bell. from start to finish. Every single Premier League game. Almost every single game. He played about, 65, 70 games last year? It's already way too much. And without proper backups and proper depth, on some point, these games and everything will just pile up, the penny will drop, and we will get hit with injuries. Because last year we escaped them. This year I have no belief whatsoever that we will get that lucky. It's been already we are in Premier League only 3 games, and we have 4 people injured already, which is not a great sign overall. But yeah, I guess for some people, injuries are not a big worry. We think we are good enough and we gonna win the league, as many Arsenal fans think. But I don't see it. With this squad, unfortunately, with the fact that we don't have proper backups, and even starting 11 spots on some level are underwhelming in certain instances, I don't see it. We could try and go for FA Cup, Carabao Cup, but Premier League? Champions League? With the fact that we have to play legitimately about 15 games, 7, we play 4, we play about 4 more, that's it, about 7 to 10 games a month. I don't think we have it in us, unless we buy proper improvements in January, which would be a first as well in a way. I don't see we can do this. Anyways, let me know, guys, what you think about this in the chat or in comments down below if you're watching this in a playback. That will be end for me for you today. If you're new around here, subscribe, smash that like button. Take care, enjoy your Sunday. Obviously, tomorrow, new week starts, on to new adventures, new options, new opportunities, and all that stuff. Take care. Have a positive attitude towards next week. Let's just hope we don't get any more injuries. Take care. Stay safe. You have been fan-freaking fantastic. Big up, everyone.